Hey guys, welcome to Tales of the Basement podcast, the newest place for all things nerd culture, discussions, debates, and hot takes, and where we ask the real questions in life. I'm your host, Joe, and here today with my good friend Bash. Say hi, Bash.
Hey.
Alright. Today we will be discussing the PlayStation and Helldivers situation, if visual novels are actually games, and what we expect to see in the new Grand Theft Auto game. Should be exciting. This podcast is a work in progress as we go along, and we're constantly making adjustments to improve the quality of the episodes that we produce. I want to thank you as a viewer for the show and for your patience and support. If you like what you see here on the podcast, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here to the show, make sure you smash that subscribe button. First off, Ash, thank you for coming on to the podcast tonight. How are you doing today?
I'm alright, just chilling, I guess.
Fantastic. So let's go ahead and dive into our first topic of the night, the situation behind PlayStation and Helldivers 2. I'll go over to our article here. So GamesRadar.com sent out this article back in May 3rd by Hyrule Crier. He states that as of May 6th, all new Helldivers 2 players on PC will be required to link their in-game profiles to an active PlayStation Network account in order to take advantage of the values of safety and security provided. This was optional back when, due to its launch period, because of technical difficulties, as they say. But now Sony is making their push to wanting to link all of their PlayStation accounts from here on out to the PlayStation Network, at least the ones that are being released on PC. So they went as far to even delist the game from countries that PlayStation Network is not available in. Needless to say, they received a crap ton of backlash from this implementation. How exactly do you personally feel about this PlayStation decision?
Well, my initial reaction was not. I wasn't too shocked, I guess, but I could understand the sort of jerk reaction that a lot of people had of, like, it seemed like strong reaction to me, but I think it was warranted because it wasn't ever. I don't know. This article says that it was optional beforehand. I don't even remember it being optional. Maybe it was,
Yeah,
but
I think it was part of their terms of service, that they had the right to. Oh yeah, it was like on their website that said like some games it was optional to log into PlayStation Network.
Yeah. They changed that actually. I just learned that recently. It used to say something slightly different, but yeah, like they changed it to where like it will be required for some games, but like yeah, at a certain time it said something else about like something along the lines of like it'll be optional for all the games.
Yeah.
But yeah, but anyways, I do. It's I understand like there's like kind of split between either it's not available in my country or the security thing being kind of a stretch because PlayStation Network's like act every other Friday kind of thing. So it's
Yeah. I mean, even if you have a PlayStation account, what exactly is keeping Sony from being hacked and taking all of your information?
Yeah, exactly. And people don't want to link their PSN account, whether they have one or not, to their Steam account because it's like, well,
Yeah.
at least Steam is relatively secure, I guess. Or what? But regardless, really, it's just like they're saying it was for security, but that seemed like I think everybody knows that like this was obviously to just for the shareholders to show the shareholders at the end of the fiscal year that like, hey, look, we had this many people sign on and join PlayStation Network due to this game and all that because they just chose the most popular game they have, and it was pretty hilarious how it kind of beautifully blew up in their face. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
liked that.
Yeah.
It was a fun thing to watch, honestly, from the sidelines.
Yeah. When I first heard the news, I couldn't help but laugh.
Yeah.
In fact, the voice of the people was so loud that PlayStation backtracked their PlayStation Network account requirements in Helldivers 2. So this is the exact reason that if you don't like the crap that a company is trying to pull off, you should absolutely complain about it really loudly online.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the few times I feel like it worked, or it's kind of like a 50-50 thing, but I'm glad it worked out because, yeah, man, this was on like a lot of people's lists to be like game of the year and stuff,
Yep.
or a contender at least, and then it was
Yep.
like, yeah, and then it ended up being like, oh no, this is gonna like make it drop off the face of the planet, dude. That's
Yeah, when they first announced the decision, did you see like the amount of negative like review bombing that went on Steam? Yeah, people
I
were
kept up with it
pissed.
daily. Yeah, it was like it went from being like, only recent reviews were starting to become overwhelmingly negative, and then it brought the whole score down to mixed and stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, it just kept progressing every day, and then now once they fixed it, now they've been putting the positives back, and
Okay.
it's been nice.
So fix is going to be in quotations because
Yeah.
Around that time they also delisted the game, from those countries, and they still
Yep.
haven't put it back on to the Steam store because of
In
it.
fact, they've delisted more countries now.
Yeah, even more. I think the ones
Yeah.
that were excluded before were the Baltic countries, and now
Yes.
they are fully excluded.
That's the last thing I heard too. Yeah, it's like over or at least 180 different countries that can't play it. But
That's
I don't know.
nuts.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's like so. I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah.
To make
I
things
don't think anybody
worse,
does.
PlayStation Network account is still required for PlayStation games that are coming to PC, such as Ghost of Tsushima. Even though the game is mostly single player, there is a multiplayer Legends mode within the game that is essentially an online multiplayer version of the game.
Yep.
But because of this, PlayStation did the same thing to this game as they did to Helldivers and delisted it from the unsupported countries and territories for a game that is mostly single player with the multiplayer mode that was added in after its
Right.
original launch, no less. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I was watching Actman's video on it, but it's
Yeah.
just like do they not like money? It's really weird that like they're just gonna like be like, no, you can't play it anymore. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking too. It's like, wouldn't you want these games to be released in as many territories as possible?
yeah,
But
and,
no, go ahead.
one more thing, sorry, yeah, that he had mentioned that I think was a really good point was that you should incentivize instead of like require this or whatever. If they incentivized it, like if you got something out of linking your account and made it optional, of course, then it would be more people would do it, and then you could still show like the numbers of if you got some of the like super credits or whatever in Helldivers for linking your account, then yeah, like it'd be more incentivized. And I honestly, I was gonna mention too, like I think at least I feel like plenty of people probably saw this coming with Ghost of Tsushima's like and upcoming games too, I'm sure will like all require this link now. Like, oh yeah, like this was totally planned the entire time. Like we were just starting with Helldivers, like it was just convenient, guys. Gosh.
Yeah.
but,
It's like
but
all of a sudden, hey, we have a great idea. Why don't we tie their account into our account? It'll go over so great.
yeah, they just wanted to make those numbers big, and Helldivers was the good target. But now they're trying to be like, oh no, this is the plan all along.
Yeah.
And but I mean, but again, as long as it's required from the get go, or at least optional from the get go, or whatever, like that was the biggest issue with Helldivers is that like it was never said anywhere when the game came out and people bought the game that like, hey, this is gonna happen later, so be prepared. There was nothing like that, and so people were refunding the game, and
Yeah.
it was being refunded.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Steams were absolutely accepting the refunds. Now I'm not normally one to be a fence sitter, but I want to go ahead and sit on this fence right here because I'm in a situation where I'm actually privileged with the freedom of choice on how I want to play my games. I have a PlayStation 5, so therefore I have a PlayStation account that I can link to, and this decision doesn't exactly affect me very much at all. Should I want to get Ghost of Tsushima or even Helldivers on PC? However, if I lived in any of these countries or territories, or if I had friends or family that did, I would absolutely understand what these people are going through.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a fence sitter here, but because like I said, yeah, even though I don't have like friends that are personally affected or whatever, like it it's a big deal. And well, I mean, actually, sort of though. As far as like Sony security goes, I know folks that have been hacked and stuff. So it's a it's a real issue.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, technically, I was hacked too. I don't know. I've had PlayStation a PSN account long enough that I've been around for all the hacks and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's they're kind of a mess with that. So.
The definition of suckage.
Yeah. So, yeah. I get where people are coming from.
So we're going to go ahead and jump into our main topic of the night. Ba-ba-ba. Are visual novels considered video games? In my experience, a game is defined as a form of challenge where a player adheres to rules where it is played to decide victory or defeat. It's a very archaic definition, but it's the best representation of a game that I have. As far as visual novels go, it's all about the story and barely anything else. Bash, should reaching the end of a story be considered a victory condition in a game?
A victory condition? I don't know. I mean, in order to beat a game, I think generally you have to, get through the story, I think. So,
I mean, is reaching the end credits all the challenge that needs to be in order for a visual novel to be considered a game?
Oh no, I don't think so. Generally,
so give us your take. Do you think visual novels are considered games?
So yeah, I do. I mean, I've never played a visual novel that didn't have some form of challenge in it. I don't know of any that don't either, to be honest. And even if they did, I guess it's I don't know. Like, if they did, if it was literally just like reading a story, I guess it's a little bit different. But I've still never played one that's like that. Like most, if not all, of visual novels that I know of have some sort of challenge in between the story, just like any game would. It might be a different sort of challenge. Maybe it's a puzzle or something instead of like shooting or climbing on stuff or whatever. But yeah, that's
There are a few that comes to mind. The ones I can think of that off the top of my list are the Telltale narrative games. We brought this up in episodes prior, but those are mainly focused on branching paths of different of the story, and I think the only thing you really had to do gameplay wise are QTEs and moving the character around from one point to another.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But I mean, that's the whole thing, is like the branching narrative, and what's going to end up happening, I guess, in the game is like up to the person to decide, I suppose. So, and the visual aspect of it, I guess, like, because I mean, it's sort of like in those cases, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which they do have books like that, but the books aren't moving and they're not visual, I guess.
Yeah,
so it's a little bit different.
Are books considered games if even though
I mean,
they're novels but not visual?
You can consider a choose your own adventure kind of book to be sort of a game, because there are win conditions and lose conditions. I've read some in, like, when I was a kid.
Good endings and bad endings.
Yeah, I mean, I read some like Goosebumps books, and you would die if you didn't, if you chose the wrong options. So it's like there's a lose condition.
Okay, but would you still consider them a game, like by definition?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I think the argument can be made. I wouldn't disagree with somebody for calling them, I guess, a game. I don't think I would necessarily call them games, I guess, in those cases. But like, I wouldn't disagree if somebody wanted to.
Well, simply because visual novels are sold in the same place as other games. I guess you could make the argument that they're considered games, but you can also buy like applications on Steam as well. Do you think like applications like RPG Maker considered games, even though you're making games out of the program itself?
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, yeah, I know there's like some things on Steam that are just like soundboards and stuff like that. Like those aren't games, but visual novels are generally have game aspects. Generally, I guess. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess with like Telltale might be the only example, but like I don't know, like any other game, like I don't know, there's like Phoenix Wright, with you've got puzzles and you got to like figure out what's going on, and then you have to like do the whole court thing and all that, and it's like at the end of the day the story's always the same, but there are lose conditions. I think if there's some sort of lose condition to a game that generally, well, in my opinion, that makes it a game.
Would you consider not finishing the visual novel considering a loose condition?
I don't know. I mean, no, but I would say I didn't finish the game. I guess I don't know if that means I lost. I wouldn't say it means you lost.
Yeah.
If I don't, I mean, I'm still playing like Batman Arkham Knight right now, and if I don't finish the game, like that doesn't mean I lost.
I mean, does that define it as a game, even though you didn't finish it?
I mean, yeah, yeah. No, I don't think that's a defining feature necessarily that it can or can't be finished. I think that's a lot of things.
Yeah, Phoenix Wright was another example I was going to bring up because it's really, again, story based, especially like the originals on the DS, because the graphics were, I guess, of the time. It is what it is. What I'm trying to say is that it's mainly story focused, but yes, there are implementations of like you got to find certain items in different places and click the right things at the right time to progress the story along.
Right.
So is that like considered puzzle elements to make it a puzzle-like game?
Yeah, that's what I think. It's more of like a point and click or something at that point. And point and click adventures are considered games. It's just as much, except they have more of a story than the old school. Well, I guess that can be debated, but a lot of older school point and click adventures, were kind of lighter on that. In my opinion.
So where do we draw the line between just a story or even making it a game? Is it the amount of interaction that you can partake in, I guess, said visual novel?
Well, like, I think it comes down to sort of like what your description was, I guess, of a game is like, you said, what, there needs to be win and lose conditions, is that right? And
let's see, I defined it as a form of challenge where a player adheres to certain rules, where it is played to decide victory or defeat.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, there are rules involved with most of them. I do think like maybe it's been so long since I played Telltale games, but yeah, I do think from what I recall, it's like there's just some like arbitrary choices and some QTEs, and that's all I've only played like Tales from the Borderlands, but
the best one.
But yeah, it was the best one that like hit the right notes because it like just looked right, honestly, and that was pretty cool.
Although I do hear a lot of great things about the Walking Dead and the Batman Telltale series. I've
tried playing the Batman one. I love Batman, and I never finished it. I was like, I don't know. I was like, but to each their own. But yeah, I feel like those could be maybe debated. It's like those are a little less so maybe. Because I mean, QTEs don't necessarily make something a game. But yeah, in my experience though, most visual novels that I played, I would consider to be games. Another one that I know we brought up before, well, I think off screen or whatever, was I don't think either of us have played with Doki Doki Literature Club is another one that that one has a lot of like interesting things going on. From what I understand, I've learned a lot about that game. I've never played it. It seems pretty like horror filled and stuff. But anyways, yeah. So I know you have to like eventually once the like game starts kind of breaking the fourth wall and stuff, you have to like end up going into files of the game and stuff. I know it's changed now too, actually, to where like I don't know. Honestly, the original game was a little bit more immersive in my opinion because you actually had to go to like the physical files on your computer.
Yeah.
And now it's like. Go ahead.
It took a really unique turn as far as gameplay goes because you're not just engaging with the game itself. You're engaging with like you said, the files on your computer.
Yeah.
And that kind of added in, I guess, a form of horror element. It's like, oh my god, my save data was deleted or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go. It can still be considered gameplay elements, I think. Like, because even though with that one, it's definitely weird talking about, but you still have choices you can make as far as I think, and then like, but yeah, you end up. There's still like definitely like win and lose conditions from what I understand. But yeah, if it's literally just like a click and read kind of thing, I mean, I think those, I don't know, they're still called visual novels at the end of the day, which is kind of like muddying term a little bit. I don't know, but yeah, those like probably aren't games. I guess it's more of just like reading a comic book or something. I guess, but um, yeah, but generally speaking, yeah, I mean, I do consider them games. I think they shouldn't be excluded from like, I will with some maybe some stipulations of like, they need to have some gameplay elements of like, some
Yeah.
puzzles, some point and click stuff, something,
Yeah.
choices, something.
Yeah, I think that's what draw the line. As far as visual novels specifically, that doesn't necessarily have gameplay elements, but more or less just sticks to its story and voice acting and all that. I think I would personally just call them experiences or even performances rather than games themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's an argument, definitely, but yeah, I don't know. For me, yeah, I think I'm on the other side where it's like, yeah, I feel like they're to be like, I don't know. I think they should just be still considered as games in general because um, to exclude them, it's like then they end up being in sort of their own weird category where they're not a book either. It's like I don't know, like what would you compare them to? Or they're not a movie. They're
They're a
so like
novel. They're
yeah.
exactly what they're described as.
I know. Well, a novel's a book. I don't know. Like, so if you're gonna pit them against other things and like that were similar, I don't know. You couldn't like compare a Phoenix Wright to like a Song of Ice and Fire or something like that. Like those are completely different. I don't know, like experiences. I guess.
A novel, according to dictionary, is defined as a fictitious prose narrative of book length, typically representing character and action with some degree of realism. At least that's one definition of it. The literary genre represented by exemplified by novels. Or exemplified by novels. I don't necessarily consider novels books. They're mostly in book form for sure. But
Okay.
novels are essentially storytelling
Hmm. Well, I don't know about that
media.
because well, I guess I've always because like I don't know, that almost makes it sound like then we're getting into like muddying the waters of that too, because then it's like, well, if I'm told a story about a campfire, I wasn't told a novel. That's not the term I would use anyway. Like
Right.
a novel, first thing that pops in my head with novel is graphic novel, and as far as I understand, with graphic novels, they're
Okay.
um,
Can we agree novels are written work?
that's what I consider them at least. I think, yeah. um, but well, I don't know, yeah, because they still call them visual novels, which kind of muddies that water too. It's a weird situation.
Well, I mean, it's still written in the sense of either dialogue like subtitles on screen, or through voice acting performances.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, but then if it's voice acted, does that make it a novel? I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about.
You might be getting
'Cause-
onto something. I certainly wouldn't call
yeah,
it a game if there's no gameplay elements in it.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Well, but then if it's a fully voice acted thing, but there's no gameplay elements in it, then it's more of a movie.
It's more of a movie.
Generally,
Yeah, you're right. Like
yeah.
take away all the shooting gameplay out of Uncharted, and you got yourself a visual novel.
I I guess I don't know. Like, yeah, it's an interesting thing because like I don't know, just like going back to Phoenix, right? It is kind of the same kind of thing. You've got story, and then you've got the meat of the game, which is like point and click,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got story again. And with the story, you're making choices in that one too that like have right and wrong. You kind of have I guess like a health bar system, but regardless, like I mean, it's kind of if you break it down to brass tacks, it's kind of what like even if you bring up like Uncharted, it's like you got the cinematic story and then you got the shooty parts and then maybe a puzzle and then back to the cinematic story stuff.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, like I don't know, to put it in perspective like that.
So Phoenix Wright, I would consider a game. There is a way to lose at it if you don't like click just the right amount of things, especially in court. That's where the lose condition comes into play.
Yep.
Um,
That's
that's out,
interesting. It feels like you changed your tune on that though, because I feel like before when we talked about this, you did not consider Phoenix Wright a game. I could be wrong, but that was one of the examples you'd bring up.
again. I think I was sitting on the fence as far as Phoenix Wright goes. It was
Okay.
definitely story heavy, but there
Mm.
are gameplay elements in the game, as light as they are.
It is light, yeah, but yeah, I mean, just because a game is easy or whatever, like that doesn't make it not a game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm trying to test your definition here and see if we can come on the same page.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Are there any other examples you want to throw out there? Any visual novels that you have played?
Uh, off the top of my head, that like those are really the ones that come off the top of my head. I don't think I've played any other visual novels.
Have you played Heavy Rain or Detroit Become Human?
We have talked about those. I have played Heavy Rain. I actually, man, way back in the day, I loved Heavy Rain. I used to do this thing with like taking advantage of GameStop's return policy and use it as like a rental thing where
Nice.
I would just like buy a used game, play it until I was done, and then return it and get a full refund, and then buy another used game.
There you go.
It was great for a good while. I don't even think there was like a time limit on it. So it's just like, wow, that's awesome.
Oh, nice.
And then when I landed on a game that I liked, I would keep it and like get other people to play it or play it again or whatever. And Heavy Rain was one of those that I liked so much that I was like, I have to get other people to play it. I don't think I ever got anybody else to play it. Maybe one other person. But yeah, I still own it to this day, and like it has, I just found out the other day, like, it still has like little like I don't know special edition stuff in the box and stuff. It had like a little origami thing that it came with or whatever. Anyways, it's cute. But yeah, but that game, there are definitely, if I recall correctly, I think there are lose conditions. There are bad endings at the very least. And like, cause yeah, that game's all about like who lives and who dies, and based on the choices you make. But from what I remember, we're getting into a long time ago, but I do remember that like I know I saved everybody, but I don't remember it being extremely hard to do so. I think it really just came down to like what choices you really wanted to make, and I don't know. I guess I just knew what choices to make, I guess, but
Yeah, so it kind of ties into a choose your own adventure.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But at the end of the day, like, it still kind of comes down to QTEs too. But there were some actiony moments. Oh my gosh, I remember now. It's all coming back to me. Like, I haven't played any of the other ones. I know there's like Until Dawn and there's Detroit Become Human. Those are like the three, and then yeah, the Heavy Rain were like the three by this one developer that
Right.
people feel certain ways about sometimes. But I haven't played the other two, but Heavy Rain and Until Dawn, as far as actually, I think all three of them have characters that can live or die by your choices. But in Heavy Rain, I do recall like there's moments where like the QTEs were so over the top, and it was like it had like the buttons like shaking around your character, and it was like, oh my god, you have to hold this button down, and you have to hold this button down. Yeah, you had to hold this button down. I just remember like it got to a point that you'd have to hold like 5 or 6 buttons down, and it's like I don't have any more fingers. Like you have to like use your nose. It
really?
was crazy. Yeah, I remember there's a specific scene where you're playing as like a police officer, and you have to like climb up this muddy hill. And like yeah, you had to hold down so many buttons, and it's like I don't have enough fingers for this. It was great. It's like you had to position your fingers in a specific way, or like yeah, or use your nose or something. But I don't know. I mean, it can be argued that that's gamey. It's not difficult by any means, but it's still, I guess you could say, a challenge. You know,
Right.
it gives you something to do than just watch the thing happen or whatever. I don't know. I've always been more of like a video game person than like a watcher of things, of sports or of movies or whatever. I would rather be in the seat, be the character myself, and have control over the outcomes than be like, why are you doing this? Or you should have gone that way, or you should have done this play or whatever. It's just like I don't know. I've always been of that mindset, I guess. So I prefer. Well, I guess it's kind of a strong term because I mean, movies, and everything else can be like artistic in certain ways, and video games can be in different ways, and it's like that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, I've always, I guess you could say like I prefer-ish visual novels to like a movie generally, I guess, because have some control of what's going. Oh, here's another one too. Actually, I don't even know if you can call it a visual novel, but Alan Wake is this another one that's like that I just recently got through the first one, and I'm playing the second one. I'm towards the beginning of the second one still, but those are, I would definitely call those less visual novelty, but they are still very narrative focused games with point and click. Well, let me think. The second game has point and click elements. The first game does not. The first game does not. Yeah, the first game actually felt very arcadey, in a good way. Honestly, it was a lot of fun. Sometimes it was bullshit, but it was fun. But yeah, it's much more of a like not an on rails, but a it's a shooter. It's a third person shooter. It's kind of like Uncharted, but way more linear. Like there's not a lot of like terrain options or anything. You're generally running in a straight line from A to B and trying not to die on the way. That's like the entire game.
Okay, so you're
Um,
able to use a controller of some kind to move the character from one place to another, and there's a loose condition.
there is a lose, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
It's definitely a game, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
so
But I
fits my
mean, but it is on the
definition.
yeah, it is on the narrative heavy side of things, though.
Yeah.
It's definitely trying to tell you a story, and that's the most interesting part of it. Actually, the gameplay, especially of the first one, the gameplay part is really secondary to the story. The story is very interesting, um, but the gameplay is fine. It's serviceable. Which, yeah, I think is kind of what that's how I felt, I guess, coming into the topic, that like the argument was to like get across to you anyways would be like, just because, like I mentioned before, just because a game might be easy or a little bit shallow on the gameplay side doesn't really make it not a game. It's just easy, or whatever. It's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
But
You just you're not playing it, so to speak. I guess for its challenge or difficulty, you're playing it for the story
for the
alone.
story,
Yeah,
yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with
And
that. There's a lot of games that I specifically choose easy mode over than a challenge, just to experience the story myself.
yeah, yeah, and man, by all means, like I know there's games I've recommended you to play, and others with like Wrath of the Righteous and stuff like I haven't played it on the easiest mode, but there's so many difficulty options in that game, and it's like, man, you gotta play it on the easiest mode. Like that game has one of the best stories and like choices and stuff that like
Yep.
are I've ever experienced. And
Yep.
like, yeah, if playing on easy is what gets you to experience that, do it. Like, yes.
Yeah. I also played Doom for its story as well.
Doom.
Yep.
Nice, yeah.
Have you ever
Yeah.
played a game, Life is Strange? I believe this
I've
that falls
I've
into this
not played
category.
it. I've not played it, but I know of it. I've seen gameplay, I guess, of some videos, I guess, of like the newest one. I think I don't know what it's called, to be honest, but it's got like a
Yeah.
new protagonist.
Yeah, not quite a
Um,
series I've delved into myself. What about Famicom Detective Club? Have you heard of that?
no, I've never heard of that one.
It got a remake. Yeah, remake of the two games that came out on the NES very recently, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow.
Something worth checking out if you're, I guess, into visual novels. They
Yeah.
came out on
Okay.
the Switch.
Oh, I have one.
Yeah.
It's called Night in the Woods. I don't know if you've played that one.
Mm-mm.
It's like a platformer light kind of game. It's definitely, I don't know, it really rides that line of like, is it, I'd still consider it a visual novel. There's another one called Oxenfree that I still haven't played, that I think, as far as I understand, is very much in that same vein of like, you got story stuff, and there's like there's an overarching story, and it's mostly just telling you a story. But then in between the story, instead of like something like Alan Wake where you're shooting stuff, you are just kind of running in a side scroller from, maybe not from A to B. Maybe there's some things to do in between, but generally the things to do in between are like, you can talk to this little NPC or talk to that little NPC, and okay, cool, and then you just run to point B
Yeah.
and get more story. Or, oh, this person's not here right now. Oh man, I gotta go find him. But it's all about this story. Night in the Woods is a great game. And yeah, I mean, that's another one like I would say recommend. But like, regardless, I'd still consider it a game. I mean, the way it is, there's definitely platforming elements in that game. Actually, they're making another one too.
There's a challenge where you control the character, give from one point to another.
Yep, and you can lose.
And
I've
you can
definitely
lose.
lost. Yeah, there's some
Therefore, it's a
points in the game. Yep, where like you have to like, oh, you gotta run away, and there's some jumping, and you gotta jump over pits and stuff, and like, oh man, I fell in a pit or whatever. So I don't know. That's about the only way to lose that one, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
But from what I recall, but yeah, so there's that too.
Just ignore the fact that, you know, visual novels, whether or not they're games or whatever, which do you prefer to get your entertainment from? Visual novels or actual novels?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like,
'cause,
if given the choice, which form of entertainment would you choose?
Well, I guess I'd say visual novels most likely because, let's see. Well, I mean, okay, I don't want to necessarily say that either, though, but I feel like I've probably played more. No, I think I've read more books than visual novels at this point. So maybe I'd say books, but I don't know. Yeah, that's a really good question because, like,
Okay.
I don't know.
Assuming that you're taking a class, like an English class or whatever, and you're told you need to read a book for this class, would you consider a visual novel to be in that category?
Wow, that would take some convincing to the professor, I think. No, personally, I don't think I would. But I do think you could make the argument if you really wanted to, like, fight that fight.
Yeah, I mean, like,
that's not the fight.
In my definition, I probably would not consider visual novels a game, as long as they didn't have, like, specific gameplay elements. Would you consider them, like, you know, actual novels? Would you put those in the same category as that?
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, but yeah, I don't know, like, because I know this whole situation or this whole conversation was originally spawned from that game tournament that we had, and when pit against other video games, especially games that like I at least played during the year, I'm going to include the visual novels that I played because. Right. Yeah, those are, again, they kind of ride the line between a game and a book, but if they're going to be on one side of the fence, I'm going to put them with games. Because, yeah, I do think that's where they sit. That's where they're sold, and yeah, I think I agree with that.
Okay, do you think there's going to be a push in the coming years that we can see, like, maybe book adaptations into visual novels instead of movies or
That'd
shows?
Be cool. That'd be really cool.
I think I like that a lot. I think I'd play more visual novels if that were the case. I can name a few book series that I've read over the years that would make pretty good visual novels in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that could be pretty cool. Yeah, especially if you're well, yeah, and it would definitely still need to like have, you know, at least the gameplay elements in there. Maybe those would have less choices involved, but that would be really
differentiate themselves from visual novels and movies, like we were saying.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, I think that would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first thing that I keep thinking of, I know it's not from a book though, but it's like that stupid Gollum game. It's like maybe if they had actually like referenced real source material, they would have maybe actually had something on their hand.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Speaking of actual games, let's talk about our expectations of Grand Theft Auto 6.
I don't know. Is GTA a visual novel? Or...
no, it's a roguelike.
A roguelike, got it. Okay.
As the entire gaming industry knows, the Grand Theft Auto 5 is the second best selling video game of all time, beaten by Minecraft by a whopping margin, and beating out Tetris by specifically for mobile by almost just as much. When the trailer for the game's sequel released last December, well, let's just say breaking the internet is a bit of an understatement, sitting at just under 190 million views. Bash, I'm assuming you're one of those 190 million. I'm sure. What would you like? What would you like to see out of the next mainline Grand Theft Auto game?
Out of the next, you know what? At this point, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of along for the ride on this one. I'm really curious on like what you're wanting to see and what you feel about that. Because like for me, I just want like a remake of 4 or something like that. That would make my day.
I'm a
I
simple
don't think
man
they're.
myself. I like a remake of 5.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. They haven't done that enough. So, for sure. But yeah, like, yeah, if they just like. Well, okay. My whole thing is like we've had, I guess, not on the podcast. So, had this conversation, but like, yeah, my preference is 4. I'm one of those guys,
What do you like most
and
about 4? Why do you want to see a remake of
um,
it?
oh man, everything. Honestly, I like a lot of people didn't. I don't know. It's just such a good game for me. It was like my first real like bite of Grand Theft Auto. I've played or not bite. It was my full meal, I guess. Like I had played a little bit of 3 and maybe a touch San Andreas like once or twice. I've never even touched Vice City to be honest. And then, but 4 was the first one that I was able to like own and convince my parents that like I'm old enough and
Yeah,
finally got it. So
I can understand these references without being scarred by them.
yeah. So it was my first one, and like, but man, I don't know. There was something about that era of gaming too for me that like I really liked. As much as people didn't like everything that people didn't like about that game, I loved. I don't know. Like I liked the gritty like and grayish color of the entire game and how cloudy it always was and stuff. I mean, it's
The
in New
filter they
York.
chose.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
filter they chose. There's mods to remove that and stuff nowadays, and it's like I knew there would be because it's like people hated that when it came out, and people didn't like the driving mechanics. I love the driving mechanics, and then people didn't
yeah,
like
because
that it
it
took
had like
more.
real weight behind it, didn't it?
It did, yeah, yeah. It's you had to use your brakes a lot more, and e-brake didn't really do much other than just kind of throw you into a drift that kind of threw you out of control.
Start
Like
doing donuts in the intersection.
yeah, or just slam into a wall is what would generally happen. I mean, I just drifted like not stop until you hit a wall, but I made the turn. um, but yeah, and then a lot of people didn't like, or from what I remember, anyways, didn't like the more serious tone that it took. They wanted, more of the silliness that like I guess they knew Grand Theft Auto for. But for me, like I've played a good bit of 3 now. I mean, well, I say now, it's been a while now, but in my more like adult years or teenage years, I played 3. And its story, while it had some like silly characters, which 4 as well did, yeah, it was still, it took itself seriously. I felt like Saints Row was the one that didn't take itself seriously, and it was the one that was like wacky and over the top. And it was like,
Yeah,
if you wanted that, you could go that way, but like I wanted the serious stuff. I loved the serious story. I love Nico as a character. He's like this tragic character with a lot of pain and stuff. And I don't know. I loved it. I don't know. And like I really with 5, I was really hoping they would continue that path of like please make the driving that but better because like I will admit the driving's not perfect. Nothing about the game is necessarily perfect, but like I still like love it for what it is, and like yeah, if they just improved on that, I was so hyped for 5 that I actually ended up getting disappointed when 5 came out. I was disappointed with the game. I was like, wow, like
because
it
of
didn't
how
deliver
much
on what
they
I wanted.
how many changes they went from 4 to 5.
It wasn't even that. Like I knew going in that I was really on the hype train for 5. Like I was super hardcore. I remember following this like YouTuber group that was like a British or like a UK CBG is what it was called. And they were like a UK version of like IGN from what I remember. I'm probably butchering that, but
Yeah,
that's how I would put it from my American perspective. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but anyway, but yeah. So, but I followed them for a long time, and they were like putting out weekly videos. They had like GTA Wednesdays or something like that. And it was like constantly talking about the game and hyping up the game and like talking about what they wanted and what might be in the game, and then they got to play the game early, and that was when I was like, okay, now there's some solid stuff that I can hear about. And one of the things I still remember to this day is like they were talking about how dark it was at night, and you have to have a flashlight on your gun so you can like look around if you're out of the city and like in the forest or
yeah.
something. You couldn't see anything, and I was that was not the case when I got the game. I was like, dude, the moon is a second sun. um
My
but
eyes.
yeah, it's so bright and it's always full. It's like, that's something I need to look into. Now that I do have it on PC nowadays, and I haven't really messed with it, but I should mod it and get it darker, man.
Yeah, Grand Theft
Nights
Auto
and
5 is like one of the most modded games out there.
oh
So,
yeah,
yeah, definitely look into that.
yeah, because yeah, nights in games like I'm talking about modded games like that are heavily modded, like in Skyrim too. It's like I feel the exact same way. Like, man, you're in a setting where like you're out in the wilderness and it's nighttime and I can see just fine, and
You
I'm
can
not.
see 5 miles in front of your eyes.
Yeah, and I'm not a cat, right? So it's like, what's going on?
Mm.
So I like making them darker. I have mods to make Skyrim darker at night too, and in the dungeons too,
Yeah,
and
you
all
can
that.
always turn down the brightness. That'll help.
Yeah, but then it'll be dark during the days too. I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
just pretend you're
so.
wearing sunglasses.
And then so okay, so but getting back on track with getting on to GTA 5, at least that hype train. Another thing that I knew going in or before I even got into the game was that I knew the driving would be different. I was like, okay. I remember there was a quote that they had put out saying that like GTA 4 like had cars feeling big and boat-like was the quote that like one of the directors or somebody had
Like
said, and
driving
it
a
was like.
semi.
Yeah, and so that's yeah. They said it felt like driving a boat or something, and so I was like, no, I like the boat, but they were going with more of a like a race, like kind of racing game kind of like feel, I guess, for the driving, and that hyped a lot of people up. But for me, I was like, dang it, okay. But I knew that it would probably do that because of the poorer reception of 4, and but yeah. So all that to say that once 5 came out. I was at least I was at least a little disappointed. I had fun with the game, but honestly, I would even say I was a little more than a little disappointed. I didn't like the story. The story's fine; it's serviceable, but it's not my favorite. The characters are nice, I guess. Trevor is just a freaking stand-in for the player character. Really, it's just like, here, let's put this chaotic character where you can just do whatever the hell you want. Where like Nico, people didn't like that. Like, oh, like they limited the weapons in this game and all this stuff, but it's like, well, it fit the setting and like it fits the character too, because Nico's not like a loose cannon necessarily, and so I guess like that's what I felt like was the direct response to that was like, okay, here's 3 characters and one of them is a loose cannon, so it even fits narratively that you can just go wild with them. And like, yeah, great, I guess. I don't know. I always liked Michael, and I like
Franklin.
Franklin. There we go. I like Franklin, even though Franklin doesn't have a whole lot going on in his story. But he's a likable character. At least he's well written
Yeah.
for what it's worth.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's likable. And then even Trevor. I mean, generally. Trevor's not the likable guy. It's like the people around him and stuff. I really love like all of his friends and stuff that he keeps. But anyways, yeah, and he's a really good like. They have like good back and forths, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just yeah, the story really went off the walls for me, which is fine. I mean, but it's not what I wanted. And then like they took like the one mission that was like super cool in GTA 4, where like in GTA 4 you had a lot of missions that maybe weren't so cool, but they felt rooted in reality. You were pulling off a hit for like the mob or something, and it's like, so you literally just drive the point A to B, and then you find the guy, you kill him, and you leave, and like, and if you get heat, then that's, but that felt realistic to me, even though it's not like the most engaging, I guess, for some people. For me, man, that just like, I love that. Like
Yeah.
my brain just goes like gets happy about that. I guess it's great. It's like, yes, this is like what it would feel like to be a gangster in the like the modern times or whatever. And
What did Rockstar run away with?
but oh yeah, they ran away with the one cool mission that was like it built up to in GTA 4, where like you get to rob a bank and stuff, and like, oh cool. Once you did that, it was like, yeah, definitely the peak of the story and gameplay. But everything, it was cool because like everything kind of, well, not everything like leading up to that point, but a lot of things kind of contributed leading up to that and coalesced into this really cool like big heavy mission that like, dang dude, you kill like a ton of cops and stuff, and it's
Oh
like,
gosh.
it's funny that they never like it's GTA, I guess, but even in that game that's more rooted in like the realism and the gritty stuff, it's like they never really consider like, wow, I just like killed like 100 cops today, like holy shit. Even if it was like part of the story.
Oh gosh.
But they never really did that. But yeah, the bank heist mission was really cool. It was called Three Leaf Clover, if I'm not mistaken, and it was really well done. And like, but there was just the one, and then the game continued after that too. It wasn't like the end of the game. But then 5, yeah, obviously like took that and ran with it. It's like, okay, what didn't that's what I feel like. Like in the room for 5, they were like, what did people not like? Because we know they didn't like 4, so what did they not like? Okay, change all that, change it all. And then what did they like? Okay, they like this one thing a lot. Okay, we're gonna focus on that, and that's gonna be our whole game. It's just gonna be robbing banks the entire game. And then
Nice.
like it just went to being like, from being this gritty, realistic, grounded story
Hmm.
to over the top action, like fucking Michael Bay version of like. I was like, okay, cool. Well, there's explosions and craziness going on, and I mean that's cool in its own right, but that's not what I wanted from GTA. Like now I don't have that outlet anymore so much.
Yeah.
Mafia did it, but Mafia hasn't made another game, and I haven't played 3. I heard okay things about it. I have it, and I still haven't played it. um, but yeah. Anyways, so with 6, I don't have high expectations this time. I have learned my lesson from 5, and I feel like 5, being as successful as it was, they're gonna continue that trajectory for sure.
Yeah. I think
So
there's
what are
a
you expecting?
yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked. I think there's a huge reason why Grand Theft Auto 5 is as popular as it is. Why it's so many copies.
Yep.
It's definitely the first Grand Theft Auto that I dove into to play on my own. I never really dabbled with the other Grand Theft Autos before them. After I think my third playthrough of the story mode in Grand Theft Auto 5, yes, I actually like the story. I wanted to dive into the Grand Theft Auto series for starting with 3 and working my way up to see how it evolved. I couldn't really get past the beginning parts in Grand Theft Auto 3, specifically for its graphics and controls. It just did not really do it for me at the time, and I think let's see, I was playing on the original Xbox at the time.
Three's tough
Yeah, it was
because of jank.
jankiness is the term I would put it, and I kind of just drifted off to play other stuff. But I still put in, I think to this day, over 500-ish hours into Grand Theft Auto Online. Yeah, is that all?
Online.
Is that
I
all?
thought you were gonna say 3. I was like, okay.
Uh,
Online, gotcha.
well, 300, I guess, for the PC, and then however much that I had for the PS4 at the time, because I still dabbled in quite a bit with the online session, because I view Grand Theft Auto Online as kind of like my Second Life game. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people
Yeah.
play The Sims for their Second Life. A lot of other people play Animal Crossing for the same reason. Grand Theft Auto Online is my Second Life. I like how it's rooted to modern day. So they have like Rockstar has their version of cars, vehicles, planes, boats, whatever. And I can't really compare the amount of weapons Grand Theft Auto had or 5 had to its predecessors, but I did.
Way more.
They had way more in the previous.
No, other way around.
Other way
5
around.
has way
5
more.
has way more. Okay, yeah.
That's another thing people didn't like about 4.
Oh, okay, specifically for I understand, but yeah, I like the weapon diversity that you can do. Yeah, in online, there's like so much you can do, from missions to jobs to races to heists. They brought that in later updates. I really enjoyed running my own arcade when that came around, doing my own businesses, running drug manufacturing and selling expensive cars and gun running and all that stuff. I mean, there's no shortage of what you can get to do in Grand Theft Auto 5. I just enjoy spending my time in there, and I find myself going back in time and time again. Probably like once or twice a month, just to be in that environment.
Nice.
So speaking of my expectations for Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be more or less the same. Don't break what's working for Grand Theft Auto. Just update the graphics, update the frame rate, update to modern vehicles, apartments, facilities, missions, weapons, all that. Just update it. But I am very curious. I want to go back and play Grand Theft Auto 4 because of how much praise you give it, specifically for car physics. I would like to see that be brought over to Grand Theft Auto 6 if they're as good as you say they are.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, man, if they did it, at this point, I'm not expecting that whatsoever. But if they did, I'd be pleasantly surprised, very much so. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope they find a happy medium because at the very, very least, one thing they took away from 4 that they added, or they took away from 4 to 5, that I don't understand to this day is the collision and stuff, like all the crumple physics of the cars and the damage and stuff. Like 4 did that so well. It was so cool. Even to this day, it's still like, wow, like when it knows where you hit something and what shape it was and all this stuff, and like I loved that. And 5, and I've showed you some of it, and like I think you've agreed, right? It's like you've seen some of that like deformity that can happen to the cars.
Yeah. I believe you showed me like in Grand Theft Auto 4, if you like hit a certain side of the car really hard, it starts drifting in that direction.
Yeah, like you can pin the tires, very easily too.
Yeah.
You can do that in 5 as well. You can pin the tires, but it's not.
I think the most you can do is just blow out the tires.
Maybe. I swear you can pin them, but I think it's really difficult to. Like when you hit something in 5, it like crumples a little bit, but it's like, god damn, dude, they got some strong cars in 5. So in 4, it's like it feels like what a modern day car would feel like when you hit something. It crushes the car, and in some ways people have even taken it further than that. But I feel like it was good where like you could have a couple of little wrecks and be fine. But after pretty much like 3 or so wrecks, you're probably gonna have like a pinched tire if you keep hitting that same spot. And the car's basically undrivable at that point. You have to switch cars. So like that's something that I would love to see come back to 6, because 5, I don't know why they took that out. Maybe I don't know. It's like they could have just carried over some of that code. Probably not that easy, but yeah, that was a weird decision in my opinion. That's one of the things that I feel like hands down you can't complain about that on 4. People don't like a lot of things about 4, but man, the damage was cool.
I'm just going to go ahead and bring up, I realized my mistake for the docket title. I put GTA 4 instead of GTA 6. That's on me for rushing it just before the podcast. But it's not wrong. We're still talking about
What are we expecting
GTA
from GTA 4?
Another thing I want to see implemented better are the expensive toys that you can get in online version. Specifically like the yachts you can buy, or the parties you can throw in your penthouse in the casino. I can see those mainly specific for like streamers and role-playing servers. I would like to see native role-playing servers active, like by Rockstar, up in GTA 6, because I've yet to dive into see what that's all about, because it's not really something that's supported by Rockstar. It's a third-party access.
Yeah, I do think, I don't know if you've looked into that yet, because I know I told you about it. And,
yeah, you keep telling me about it, but I got other things playing right now.
No, you don't have to play it though. Like there's streamers that do it. You should look into like the streamers that do it and just get an idea of what a roleplay server looks like.
Yeah.
Because I do think it's potentially something you'd be interested in. It may be taking it a few steps too far for you. I don't know, but like the roleplay is taken pretty seriously, as far as I understand. There's different servers, so I don't know, but you can just easily watch videos or streams of people doing the roleplay in GTA.
Gotcha. Well, going back to my example, specifically the yacht, it's a really nice item to buy to have out in the water and just go to and just kind of chill. But it's so barren and desolate. Like the only NPC on the boat is the captain, who's driving it around. There's like there's no way to like, well, in my experience, I haven't exactly delved too much into it, but it doesn't spawn with NPCs already on board, kind of chilling, having a good time. Same with your apartment. I guess you could like throw a party with NPCs. I'm not sure, but then again, I'm in a situation where I would like to have more dedicated Grand Theft Auto friends playing
And
the online session.
yeah, going back to the roleplay servers, I do feel like that might be a better way to make, because like the biggest issue with Grand Theft Auto Online is the community. Of course, you've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
a lot of the community is very aggressive.
yeah,
they just want to kill things, or grief people, or do that, or
yeah.
hack God.
So
But
many
in the
hackers.
roleplay,
I would
yeah,
like
and
to see the online mode with far less cheaters, hackers, people with no lives, etc. Absolutely.
yeah, like I don't know. The thing is, like, hackers is bad for like press for their game and all that. So that part makes sense. But when you've got people that are griefers, or people that are just
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
don't, they're still players of the game, and they're probably still spending money in the game, so they don't necessarily want to lose those.
Yeah,
But
that's why one of our mutual friends kind of avoids playing the online version of
yeah,
this game.
yeah,
He
and
really
I don't
doesn't like
blame
it.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't blame him at all. So,
because it
and
really ruins the vibe of the
it
game.
does, it
But I was
does.
able to push past that and really enjoy the game for what it is.
Yeah, and that's good. Yeah, because like I'm the same way. Like I played online, I was pretty hyped for it actually. I like it in concept, but yeah, in execution, it leaves some things to be desired. Which yeah, I think dedicated roleplay servers that. I don't know how, because right now I think the fact that you do need third party mods, and you do kind of need to, like, gain access to a server, um, helps in a way, because it helps weed out all the people that are just gonna grief, and you're gonna meet people that actually wants to be in that setting like you want to be, where you're just here to have a good time with other players.
Yeah,
And I don't know, I think you could find a community that you really like, and then you could probably find friends within that community to like have those parties with and stuff like that. I think that's the way to go. I just don't know how. I mean, good luck, I guess, to Rockstar with trying to implement that for the
yeah.
vast audience that they have. Like, holy crap! So it's gonna be a tough
Toxic
one.
to say the least.
Yeah, well, that's the one that they're the, like, I don't know if they would call them the minority, but they're definitely loud. They're the ones that are the most obvious and the most in your face,
Yeah,
and the ones that stick around because everybody else gets weeded out. And it's just like, I don't. It's a hard thing to deal with, I imagine, as the developer. But yeah, I hope they figure out some way to like divide the community, like, and be like, okay, we're gonna have you guys over here if you guys can go wild and kill each other. But then in these roleplay servers, maybe they have baked in rules, or like maybe there's like a host of the server or something that has baked in rules that they set or whatever. But like, if you are like firing your gun and doing a bunch of craziness, or like you kill a bunch of like players all the time, if maybe there's like a certain number you can set it to, of like, you've killed this many people, like you're gonna get kicked out of this, or you get a warning or something. Maybe that's the way to do it. But yeah, I really do hope that's one thing I hope to see from Six, is like, well done, because as far as I understand, they like purchased, or they did something about like, yeah, like getting the rights to like do the role play servers as like an official thing, as far as I understand. So if I just hope they do it right, I guess. I
yeah.
give it a good justice.
Yeah, as far as the story mode goes, I'm pretty indifferent about it. I'll play it, but whether it's good or bad, it really doesn't matter too much to me. It's all going to be about the online mode. I see Grand Theft Auto as more or less an online game from this point on, for me, anyways. That's how I would play.
Well, so I have no idea if they're really going to do this, but the whole idea of Grand Theft Auto Online, and now it is being sold separately, was that it's its own thing. Like, there's not going to be so GTA 4 had an online mode, and it was GTA 4 Online. But GTA 5 had an online mode, and it's called Grand Theft Auto Online. And they were like, it's called that for a reason. This isn't Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. This is going to persist past GTA 5. It's GTA Online will continue as GTA 6 comes out, or 7, or whatever. It's still going to have GTA Online. I have no idea how they're going to implement that. That was the
Okay.
original
Okay.
not post.
This
Man,
is
what's the
news to
freaking
me.
word?
I thought it was going to be a
Pitch.
brand new, like a brand. It's going to be a mode within six, but you said they're going to sell it separately.
Well, they already are. They're already selling GTA Online separately. You can buy it. I think it's like $10 or $15 for GTA Online by itself. And it does come attached to GTA 5.
Right.
But you can buy it by itself too. The original pitch, and I don't know if they've changed course from then, but the original pitch for GTA Online is that it's a standalone thing. Even though it's in the same engine as GTA 5 right now, it's a standalone thing that will persist past GTA 5.
Very similar to what they did with Red Dead Online, right? How they sold that separately from
Did they?
Yeah, I believe so. Let me check.
Huh. I didn't know that actually. But yeah, like I know the original Red Dead now. I don't think so, but the second one possibly.
Yeah. So you can get Red Dead Online for $10. So I'm guessing they lock out the single player aspect of it on the main menu, and
you're trying to do that too. That's interesting.
Yeah. And...
Dude, Red Dead Online did not do well.
Yeah. Speaking of stuff that needs improving, definitely Red Dead Online. They butchered that so hard.
Yeah, that was one that really would have benefited from like role play servers. Oh my gosh, people would have loved that. Ate it up, man. Because that's one where it's like, I think the vast majority of people who actually played that game all the way through and enjoyed their time in the game and want to have more are the people that liked its slower pacing and the roleplay aspects. And that's what I liked about 4. That's actually what I liked about GTA 4 is like it felt more like Red Dead 2, where it's like, sort of. It took itself a little bit, definitely more seriously, but it took its time with things, and it took time to build up what was going to happen. Pacing. Yeah, it had much slower pacing, and again, something that the GTA community really didn't resonate with, but I liked it. So it had more missions, actually. That was one of the things when 5 was coming out. They were like, wow, it has less missions than 4. But I think that it speaks to like, that's definitely how it was made. It's like, nah, this one's gonna hit fast and hard, where like 4 was gonna take its time
it's
and
catered
build
to children with less attention span.
I mean, I guess it's a way of putting it, but that's not how I put it. But yeah, it's catered to the audience or to a larger audience, I guess is what we should say, is what I would say anyway.
A more accessible game to get into.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, but yeah, dude, definitely recommend playing 4. As I don't even think it. Well, it's definitely probably nostalgia speaking, but I don't think it's aged super poorly. It is a little bit janky. I mean, but it has aged, but I don't think it's terrible.
You think it could use a remaster?
But yeah, absolutely.
Or a remake?
Or a remake would be amazing if they did that, but they're too busy remaking NES games that I've never heard of. NES visual novels that I've never heard of.
Watch them do the same treatment to GTA 4 as they did to the original trilogy.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that would suck. But whatever. If they do that, I already own 4, so even if they delist it, I already own it. And, whatever.
Yeah, I'm the same way with all the GTA games. I like to go back and invest some more time into them.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand how you feel about 3 though, because I never beat 3. I got a good ways into it, but it has not aged well.
This was like years ago when I played on the original Xbox, less than 10 years ago. But I do have it on PC before they delisted it, so maybe I can like mod it up and treat it like a new game.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. I actually played. Now that you mentioned it, it had to have been I think it was over 10 years ago when I played 3. I played it on. It had a mobile version even back then.
Wow.
So I played it on mobile actually. Yeah, and I liked it for that accessibility of being on mobile. I don't play mobile games, but I was like, okay. Actually, I was going through a stint of playing like some of the like better mobile games that aren't like Candy Crush or something. I was playing like there was that and a few others, but that were more like what you'd see on like a console or PC game, and I thought that was really cool, so I was going through some of those, and GTA 3 was on there, and I enjoyed what I had played, but it's definitely dated. You and I definitely have different parameters for what we're willing to put up with, I guess, with like especially like older games.
Speaking of mobile games, I do have a Netflix subscription, and I would like to see
Yeah, it's
what
on
the
there. Yeah.
mobile version of the definitive edition of the GTA games are all about.
Yeah, I actually mentioning that too. I do have San Andreas. I actually own, but I bought it way later. I've tried starting San Andreas a bunch of times because I know that's like the one that everybody points to. Well, sort of Vice City as well, but
Yeah.
nobody points to 3. Oddly enough, like everybody's like play San Andreas or play Vice
Yeah,
City.
if you want to get into Grand Theft Auto, do not play 3 as your first one.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, like I don't know, everybody loves San Andreas and Vice City.
Yeah.
And so I've tried playing San Andreas a few times. It's one of these games that I've had experiences with multiple games where like I've started it a million times. I've seen the intro a lot, but I haven't gotten very far in it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's exactly my situation with the game as well.
Yeah, and you know, but yeah, with San Andreas, I have it on my phone through Netflix, and yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I also have it on the PS2, and yeah, it looks just like it. I don't know. I think they've put the work in finally, I guess. But
Yeah.
again, I
Well, here's the
haven't
problem.
delved deep. So.
It's only on mobile.
Yeah, it's only on mobile. Yeah, where they put the work in. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about, but okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. As mad as I just hate that fact. You know, I have to like, I can't even play it on my iPad either. It's not new enough.
Wow. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Um, that sucks. Well, I'm sure with all your, you know, you have a lot of peripherals. I'm sure you can
I do.
get a controller hooked up and all that. And,
Yeah.
Uh,
But
you
I
know.
would still consider it a console game and not a handheld game. But when I get around to it, I'll tell you how I feel about it.
Yeah, I gotta try playing it again too. I actually got my new phone. I got to download it on here now. I still haven't started it, but I'm gonna have to start it again. But yeah, I definitely plan on playing it too. I still want to touch into Vice City at some point, but I really wanted to play San Andreas. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so cool.
Any other expectations for the game?
6, specifically, the biggest thing is really those roleplay servers. I really hope they nail that because that's going to be the only thing that I feel like will take the game seriously enough that I would really enjoy it.
Agree.
I want that. I want
Agree.
that so bad.
Yeah, I want to dive into what they're all about in GTA 5 as well.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you gotta at least like look into some streams and see like, okay, this is what this is like. Cause, yeah, it's kind of like, you know, well, from what I understand, it's kind of like Red Dead 2 or something where you've got, you know, some little hunger meters and like different stamina meters and stuff like that to like manage and.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just really interesting. Yeah, like there's different things. Like the UI is different, and everything. So. But yeah, I've never gotten into it. I probably should. It's something that I would probably get very into if I put the time in. So I hope they do that. That's pretty much all I'm expecting from 6. Anything else with 6? Like, I mean, it looks beautiful. I'll
Graphics
put
look
that.
Amazing. Yeah.
Holy crap. Yeah, like the hair physics and stuff. Oh my gosh. I legit thought when I saw the trailer, and it was showing like the little it has like a montage, I guess, of like people filming things like for online stuff,
Yeah.
like for social media and stuff like that. All that I thought that was real the first time I watched it. It like took like the second time when I was pausing it. I was like, oh, that's in game. Oh my god.
Let's hope they don't pull a Watch Dogs on us and have the
I don't think Rockstar would do that. No way.
and build the game for like supercomputers and then have to tone everything down.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god, could you imagine? Rockstar is like one of like the few sweethearts left of the industry. Even though they kind of botched it with that GTA 3 definitive crap, like they didn't make that, so it's like they allowed it to happen.
They outsourced it. Yeah, that's the excuse.
It's a blemish, but they have an excuse, and it's like that's all they need.
Blame it on someone else. You know, it's their problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's Grove Street Games. Those guys. But nah, man, like they're such a darling in the like public eye. I feel like that it's man, they'd be shooting themselves in the foot if they lied about this game. Oh man.
Well, here's to a launch that's not botched. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's hope we don't have a Cyberpunk 2077 on our hands.
Yeah, I mean, we'll hope for the best, you know. But again, yeah, for me, I'm gonna keep my expectations realistic this time. I was a different person when the last game came out. It was freaking 10 years ago.
Will you be picking up the game day one?
Day one. Most likely. This is one of those where, again, like Rockstar tends to put out quality products, so I trust in their. It's rare when I pick up a game day one, but that's generally the one qualifier that I need. Is like, okay, I am well aware of the products that this developer puts out, and they put out, you know, good enough content that I'm willing to make that bet, I guess, that it's going to be good again. And Rockstar is definitely one of those. Yeah. Rockstar is one of my favorite developers. So
yeah, I think I'll do the same thing as I did with GTA 5 and just wait till it comes out on PC. I want to wait for reviews, maybe even wait till it goes on sale.
Damn. So this is so I've become a PC, like more of a PC gamer now. But
it's going to launch on consoles first and then come on PC like months later.
Oh wow! Okay, well if that's the case, I'll probably wait too then.
So you'll wait till it comes out day one on PC.
On PC, yeah. If I can temper my excitement, I guess. Which again, I feel like I can this time around. 5 was just like it really. I was like. Man, I was on the freaking moon with excitement for 5, and I have learned my lesson. Probably too much, because now I'm like, I'm not hyped for 6. I'm hyped, but I was more hyped for like Dragon's Dogma 2.
Expectations, you know?
Yeah, when I heard Dragon's Dogma 2 get announced, I was way more hyped for that than I was when I heard GTA 6 get announced. Like GTA 6 was one of those where it's like, okay, finally, and cool, we'll see where it goes. And oh wow, that's a beautiful looking game. Like okay. We know what we know.
Absolutely.
But that's what I'm going with. We know what we know.
All right, Badge, let's go ahead and move over to The Hobbyist. This is the segment where I ask you, specifically, what are you doing with your time? What are you having fun with lately?
Well, I guess you kind of know that already, because we've been playing Root ever since it dropped on sale on Steam. I'm trying to get others to get it too, because it's so. It honestly, I'm at the point that I might just buy it for them, dude. It's like $5. I'm fine with just like spending $10 to get it for a couple more people. And
yeah, it's called an early birthday gift.
Yeah, dude, it's so cheap. Like, yeah, I'd call it a gift. Yeah, that's fine. Because like, dude, I'm loving that game.
I've been enjoying our time with Root so much. I actually went out and bought the physical board game, and I would like to get the expansions with it too. It's so much fun.
Yeah, dude, it's such a good little game. So I'm really glad that like you're as adamant about it as I am, because I love that game, and I haven't gotten to play it nearly as much as I wanted to, and the video game really lets me do that too. I've been playing a lot.
It is so well made. They've also did a digital adaptation of Munchkin as well, and I'm really I'm a big lover of that game as well.
I gotta check if it's on sale then, because actually I'd be interested in getting that too.
Absolutely.
I haven't played Munchkin in a minute.
Direwolf are extremely good at doing board game adaptations into video games.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. I've never heard of them before, but yeah.
Their most recent output, I believe, is Dune Imperium. Definitely give that a check out as that one as well.
Yeah, I'll have to see what kind of board game that even is. Like,
I've seen a lot of great reviews on Steam.
Okay, do you know what kind of game it is? It like a domination kind of game, or I have no idea.
Oh gosh. Well, let me check it out real quick.
Yeah, out of curiosity.
Dune Imperium. Not Twilight Imperium, but also a great game. It's overwhelmingly positive on all reviews on Steam. Over 1,500 of them. It came out in March of this year.
What's its well, I guess the tags are going to be like board game. And...
It's a strategy deck building game.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
I do like deck builders.
I do like deck builders as well.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
The only thing is, I'm not a big fan of the Dune franchise. I never.
You know, that's interesting because I'm not a huge fan myself. My wife loves them, so I've seen them all like in theaters and stuff so far, the new ones. But yeah, she really enjoys them. So, and I mean, they're cinematically really cool. They're well shot. All the everything's done really well. It's just like I don't know, like on a.
I get the story too much.
I can get heated about this, or people probably like
Yeah.
flame
We'll
me
get
about
flack
it.
for it for sure.
Yeah, well, no, because like I feel the same way about like Star Wars even. So it's just like kind of the same thing for me. Like I don't know, they're fine. Sci-fi has just never really been my favorite genre. I like sci-fi. I don't love sci-fi. The only thing that I really love that's sci-fi is Fallout. That's the only thing, and it's like I don't know. Everything else is like.
Do you even consider that sci-fi?
I consider
science
Fallout
fiction,
sci-fi.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
consider
strictly just space to fall
it's
into
not
sci-fi.
space. Yeah, but it is sci-fi. Yeah, I mean, and it's definitely got you got your laser weapons and but it's definitely science fiction and the fact that like this is their depiction of like what would happen in the post-apocalypse and so in the distant future and stuff. That's the only one that's really like hooked me and like able to keep my attention for a long. I like Cyberpunk 2077. I was one of the like lucky people that I guess I had a PS5 when it first came out, so I had like few issues running that game when it first came out. And I actually really enjoyed it. Even going back to it now, people really like it now, but it's like I don't know. I had my fun with it. Going back to it now, I'm like, okay. I mean, it feels a little different than my first experience with it, but it's still
what you're saying is
largely
you
the same.
had a positive experience going in the first time.
Originally.
Playing it now, it's not much different. It's about the same
Right.
as how you played it.
For me personally, that's how it feels. It feels similar to the first time I played it, so I'm like, okay. I mean, it's still fun. It was fun the first time. I've seen some really cool stuff that you can do, like in videos and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like I could see that before. I don't know. But yeah, but still, even though I might not be a fan of the subject material, I do like deck builders, so I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this will be what gets me into the whole franchise, So, with Dune. So
perhaps so.
We'll see.
All right. Next up, let's go over the free games of the week. Oh yeah, starting with Epic Games. Over here, what you can pick up this week is Circus Electrique. I believe that's.
Ooh, I know that game.
You know that game?
Yeah, it's a Dark Souls like.
Okay, hang on. We also got Firestone free offer. Which is like it gives you a bunch of crap with the free-to-play Firestone game. I have not played it. I don't know anything about it. And then we got a mystery game that's coming up in a few days. So tell us about Circus Electrique. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so. I'm actually going to look at it right now. But as far as I understand, it's heavily inspired by Dark Souls. Like, oh my gosh. You just take one look at it and it's like, oh wow, okay. Like as soon as you see the combat, it's the exact same as. Did I say Dark Souls? Oh my god, Darkest Dungeon.
Darkest Dungeon. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you had it right. They're practically the same game.
No, not at all. So that's interesting. I was like, okay, wow, I'm interested in that. I never was gonna like planning on getting it, but because I have Darkest Dungeon and I just replay that game if that's what I want to do. But hey, getting it for free, heck yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean now you got another version of Darkest Dungeon that's in I guess a circus themed.
I think it's kind of like a steampunky circus, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think there's a reason it's called Electrique. If I'm not mistaken, there's like specific weapons and stuff that like have electric stuff, and I don't know. I really don't know what I'm talking about with that one. I've heard like a brief overview on that game once.
Yeah. Definitely looks interesting. Moving on over to Amazon games. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you can pick these up, and if you lose your subscription, you still have these in your library. You can play them. So I'm not going to list everything here, but some standouts are Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition. You can still pick up Fallout 76 for both Xbox and PC. You have Tomb Raider, specifically the Game of the Year Edition, not the Definitive Edition. There are apparently two different editions. They can get for GOG. Looks like you can get Lego Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars for GOG as well. Let's see, Chivalry 2, Tiny Robots, Demon's Tilt. This is a very interesting looking pinball game I like to get into as well. Are you looking at my screen? Do any of these stand out to you?
Give me just a second. I'm actually trying to get that Electric game, but I don't know. I got signed out of Epic Games.
Come on, we're moving along here.
Yo, you're still not streaming your screen to me, so I don't even see it.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me.
Just, okay, there we go.
Yeah, just blame it on the downed internet.
Not gonna lie, man. Out of what I'm looking at here, Electrician Simulator looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah, have you played it?
Nope. But I like the idea of simulation games like those. I've never really played too many of them, but again, being an enjoyer of like Grand Theft Auto 4 and Red Dead Redemption 2, I like the role play of like being in a realistic kind of setting. Maybe not super realistic. These are normally taking it a little more seriously than that, but I'm still interested in those. I've wanted to play one. I think it's called like My Summer Car or something like that, and it like kind of teaches you how to like
Yeah,
build a car and fix it up and
build a
stuff.
car.
I've always
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
think Car Mechanic has been for free as well on Prime. I picked that one up.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah.
Car Mechanic, like they got specific gears for them, so I guess you work on specific gears of cars.
Nice. Yeah, see, like, I like the ideas of those. And it's also like, hey, maybe you learn something out of that. I don't know. I think those are actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I haven't really picked them up myself, but yeah. I mean, if it's free, it's free. But yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have Prime. I'm. It's one of the few things I don't have.
And I'm steering
Many
away
things.
from doing PlayStation Plus games and Nintendo Switch Online games because even if you do have a subscription for those, once you lose your subscription, you lose access to those games.
Yup.
Yeah,
Mhm.
unfortunately, just the way it is. Anyway, moving on to our next topic, we have the poll of the week. So, do some adjustments here. This week I'm asking, do you believe that visual novels are considered video games? Very simple. Yes or no question.
Question very simple. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
we've already given, we already given our bit on it, how we feel
Yes,
about it. So it's
they
up to
are.
you. You can find this poll on the community tab of the Tales from the Basement YouTube channel. Just go there. You can find all the polls that we've done every week since. All right, moving on. We have. Guess that's it. That's the last thing I had. Besh, is there anything you would like to add before we sign off for the night?
Nope. I think I'm good.
Alrighty. Thank you all for watching Tales from the Basement. Be sure to check in every week for fresh content. If you like what you watched here today, make sure you mash those like and subscribe buttons and ding that bell icon to be notified for more episodes in the future. Leave comments down below about the topics we have discussed today for a chance to be featured in future episodes. Thank you all for joining us, and Bash, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem.
Really appreciate you being here.
Always a pleasure. Yeah.
I am Joe, and this has been Tales from the Basement. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.